Hello, Sim here. So I got to play the Call of Duty Vanguard beta on the beta weekend too, when Vanguard was available for PC, Xbox and PlayStation. In this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts and impressions from my experience of playing the beta on the Xbox. So if you enjoy informative gaming videos and like to know how to buff your gaming network, make sure you are subscribed and have hit the bell icon so that you get notified of when new videos arrive. So graphics, I considered the lobby character models to have bad polygon models. It just looked like I was playing on an older console. Interestingly, the graphical dynamic events in the game seemed to be tied to server updates. In other words, it would stop raining and everything just froze. And it gave you time to explore the map whilst you waited for the match to be terminated as a result of server stability issues. Frame rate issues. There were tons of issues with respect to inconsistent frame rates, and I was playing at 1080p 60Hz due to my video recording hardware having various restrictions along with my monitor. And the performance should have been really there, especially considering this game supports 4K, 120Hz with HDR and all of that jazz. Now, some games you got to play in slow-mo, and something that I typically associate with the Black Ops franchise, which I've made previous videos on. So this is less of a graphics engine issue in my opinion, and a more of a server, networking, multiplayer engine issue. Again, pretty worrying considering there is like 6 weeks to go, or less now by the time making this video, to fix a ton of issues post the beta prior to launch. Because we know Activision is still going to push it out on the 5th of November, regardless of whether it's working or not. Just to hit the dates, man. All they care about, money, money, money. The hip view seemed to me to be just too sluggish. Frame rates again seem to be all over the place. ADSing though, the frame rates seem to be a bit more consistent. And then there was another issue that carried on throughout the beta and was definitely not resolved in the Xbox, because the Xbox, let's face it, got the raw end of the deal. There was a what I'm going to call flashing strobing effect, where certain parts of the maps, and it seemed to be random for that match only, and it would vary on positions throughout the maps. It just would continue just flashing and stuff, and I wonder at times how the heck I won gunfights. I would just never know. It's a pretty serious issue in which needs to be addressed, especially considering for those who suffer from epilepsy. I know games come with epilepsy warnings, all that jazz, but this was extreme. This is not a typical thing. This would just give you headaches. I was surprised that the beta didn't have a field of view slider, and as a result you'd often get killed. There were numerous times when two enemies would be standing next to each other and they just didn't know it. It was crazy to see. Now moving on to stability. Now as I mentioned earlier, I only played the beta on the Xbox and I was playing on the Series X. Yes, the most powerful console in the world. So things should be absolutely great. There should be no frame rate issues. It should be flawless. Unfortunately, the beta was in name only when it came to the Xbox. In my opinion, the software release for the Vanguard beta weekend on Xbox would be classed as pre-alpha due to the severity of the graphical bugs that was there and the stability issues. If you were playing the game at 120Hz or at 1440p or 4K, the severity of the issues increased and hence the beta got extended by 3 days because it was that bad. And we got 6 weeks left. Did I already mention that? So gun firing, that was a weird one. You would have muzzle flashes that would come up as big polygons blocking your view. So you're ADSing, you're trying to shoot the enemy, and you just get all these big polygons popping up in front of you. And it's like, I'm hoping I'm hitting them. And yes, the game has technically introduced a blind firing mechanic, but this one took it to a whole new level. There were various graphical clipping issues where things would appear and disappear as you could move towards them that should have just stayed visible throughout. And then there was what I'm going to refer to as the Superman Fortress effect. Yes, you remember when he throws his little green thing into the eyes and it starts all these pillars just coming out of the eyes constructing the fortress, right? That's where I'm going. So polygons would start appearing from the ground and walls, etc. And then if you were lucky, they would disappear. And if you were unlucky, you would end up in the phantom zone. Surrounded by polygons, and you wouldn't be able to see the multiplayer map, enemies or teammates or anything, and you would just end up being killed because you're just surrounded by polygons. Your screen would become entirely black. If you missed all of this graphical fun and nonsense, see my Twitter feed. There were also sound bugs where we'd lose sound during a match, and then if you were lucky, it came back. And when I was gaming, I'd have what I would consider dead silence. And no, I'm not talking about the perk. It was completely silent. I'd have no audio. However, my recording device did pick up some weird sounds. So you probably have that weirdness playing in the background right now. And then the sound came back, as I mentioned, luckily. There are a whole host of stability issues on the Xbox. It's crashing. And this was very prevalent in MW19, and they're all back for MW19 Mark II edition, known as Vanguard, being a reskin in my opinion, with supposedly some upgrades. I don't know what they are yet because I haven't seen it because it was just atrocious. It caused the game to crash and the console to crash. It occurred multiple times. I had like 1-2 hour gaming session, and we're talking right towards the end of the beta, and a variety of updates being released. And I had like 10 crashes in the space of a 2-hour gaming session. I was not impressed. And for those of you who played MW19 back on the Xbox, it took them months to fix this console turning off issue due to thermal limits being reached. And I'm really concerned that we're going to be in a similar position for Call of Duty Vanguard when it gets released on the 5th of November. And hopefully it doesn't kill consoles like it did last time. Because, you know, there's a chip shortage and getting hold of replacement consoles is a little bit more tricky right now. So if I move on to game mechanics and map design, for my personal taste, I found that the domination capture zones were just way too small. This meant it was easy for enemies to kill those playing the objective with a single frag grenade, C4 equivalent. You literally have to stand on the flag to capture that domination point. There's no surrounding circle as we have been used to for playing the Call of Duty for the past decade or so, to allow your team to spread out and capture in different positions rather than being known he's going to be exactly at that position on the map, so I can just throw a frag, come around a corner, pre-fire, bang, you're all dead. They need to increase the zone, the capture zone. They really do. Another serious annoyance and problem which I hope they fix is that you get pushed out of the way by your teammates, which would end up throwing your aim off. They just need to fix it so that your teammates are forced to walk around you, etc., like other CODs, or just to like walk through you kind of thing. Not extreme, but that kind of thing, so that you're not being pushed out of the way and that you can keep your aim on target and not be screwed by a Timmy No Thumbs player or whatever. So when calling in streaks, and yes, it's similar to World War II, so they've kept some kind of consistency, I found that it was just way too slow and clunky, and as a result you'd often get killed when calling in your streaks. I would prefer that they modernize the calling of streaks interface so that you don't get taken out of the game and gunfights for 2 to 3 seconds while you're interacting with this very clunky user interface. If they can give an option to have a traditional one, because they've got advanced options to give us what we've got in Cold War and previous games like Modern Warfare 3 and all the rest of the Call of Duties, just be able to quickly, press the D-pad, call it in, done. Not funking about with having to hold a couple of different things around and using the thumbsticks to select which blimmin' option you want. Anyway, moving on. Glide bombs. Now, I'm not sure if this one is a feature or a bug, but when the enemy calls one in, there's no announcement. No announcement at all. Unlike all the other kill streaks that says, UAV, counter UAV, etc, etc. So you end up getting surprised and killed because there's no warning. Now, if the mini-map is working, in other words, there's no counter UAV up, then you can see it on the mini-map coming in and potentially take action, get inside a house or whatever building to avoid being struck by that glide bomb. Now, mentioning counter UAVs, this was way too powerful and lasted way too long. It would be up for what felt like a minute. Your UAVs were really short, but the counter UAVs would be up all the time, and effectively you would have no minimap as a result. I also thought that the stuns were way too powerful too. There also appeared to be no kill cams, you were just instantly spawned. And it was confusing because initially you think you'd watching the enemy and how they killed you, and then you realise that it was actually you. But unfortunately it was a bit too late because you've just run into enemy gunfire. And well, yeah, not great. Now I think there should be a kill cam option in the settings menu to give a traditional kill cam experience versus this new one. Hence that will keep the gaming community happy. Those who prefer the traditional kill cam experience, great. And for those who like getting back into the action straight away and don't care how they got killed and don't want to improve their gameplay and get instantly respawned in, good for them. Now spawns, they were really bad, man. They were really bad. It's the worst I've seen spawn wise, let alone the beta being the worst I've ever played out of all of the Call of Duty betas, due to quality software. But let me get back onto spawns. They were bad. And these spawns were very dependent on the pacing mode you were playing. You would either have the entire team spawn on you, ready for a complete team wipeout by spawn trapping, or a significant number of players spawning on you because you're like in a 20v20, and therefore they use what's known as a squad spawning mechanic. How they decide who's in that squad, I have no idea. But yeah, the spawns were bad, and free kills really, that's all I can say. It was just bad. The leaning mechanic that we first saw back in Call of Duty Ghosts that resurfaced back in MW19 is, surprise surprise, back in Vanguard. And it just encourages camping. I don't like this playstyle of camping. Now, as you've probably guessed, the map design is MW19 style. There is no 3 lanes, it's very campy, it's got bad spawns, which spawn-wise should improve for release, one hopes, but currently it resulted in a very bad experience for rushers. If you love camping and you loved MW19, you're going to love Call of Duty Vanguard. But with the current map design and the very bad spawns, and if you're a rusher, that's all I can say. So moving on to pacing and skill-based matchmaking, everybody's favourite. Now Vanguard has introduced pacing, and in my opinion it's their attempt to try to cater for rushers who hate camping. Yeah, I hate camping, I can't play that way. Which is how the maps are for me. Yes, the maps are camping, they're catered for campers. And you've got a very fast time to kill. Pacing simply affects the number of players that will be on that map. So tactical is 6v6, so think MW19. Very slow, campy playstyle. Assault, which is I think 10v10, so it's a bit more faster, and then Blitz is basically 20v20, so it's more manic. And so if you like fast-paced action, then this is the mode for you. But with the poor spawns that were in the beta, we'll have to wait and see how it is. I'm hoping it's going to be fun for Blitz, but right now with the bad spawns, Unfortunately, increasing the number of players on a map does not take away from the fact that the map is still being designed and catered for camping. So, but it's some kind of compromise by Sledgehammer Games to appease the COD community, I guess. And we'll have to wait and see how it plays out once they've tweaked the spawns and hopefully fixed it sufficiently so it's not free kills for the enemy team. So when we come to searching for the game, you can leave the pacing mode on as all, which will then just take some kind of random mix of these modes, or you can select a specific one. In my experience, when I selected a specific pacing mode, the game search engine seemed to ignore my pacing option selected. I would typically select Blitz because I want action. I do not want to be playing camper duty known as MW19. That kind of playstyle, I just hate that playstyle. However, I found it often defaulted me back to tactical, yes, camping playstyle mode. Presumably because not enough people at my skill level were playing Blitz when I was playing the beta. Now, searching for a match typically took me about a minute. And for those wondering, no, there was no geo filter in the equation. This was completely worldwide, whatever servers were up, I had available. And I just often didn't get put into Blitz match, and I'd get typically put into tactical. Yes, skill-based matchmaking was there in the beta. And I was playing against the same players match after match. They know how to make a game fun. Not. So yes, team balancing again was bad. I would get games where I was something like 25 to 200, so my team of randoms was obviously obliterated. It was terrible. Team balancing has been an issue for the past few CODs, and it needs to be worked upon. And it has to be more balanced for the game to be enjoyable to play. If you want us to keep playing, get your team balancing right at least, because when it's unbalanced, it's just not a joy to play at all. Yes, I have to say that the rage monster of MW19 from Sim resurfaced during the beta big time. I did not enjoy it at all. Really, it was bad. I'm hoping it's going to be a lot better, but yeah, that's all I can say. In most of my games that I played, the time limit was reached. Yes, we didn't reach the score limit due to camping, MW19 playstyle being utilized. So things are obviously not looking good for Vanguard. I really hope it improves, but we'll have to wait and see. And I know a lot of people are going to go, but Sim, it's a beta. And then I'm going to go, hey, how many of you are software developers and done software development? Who's written graphic drivers? Who's written multi-threaded programs? I bet the majority of you are no. So therefore, the severity of issues when you've got like graphical and stability issues to fix within a 6-week period when the Xbox is last, you know, you can see that the PS4, PS5 is first. We know that because Sony's paid for it. The Xbox is going to get a raw deal. PC players seem to be okay from the kind of reports that are a bit out there, but yeah, it's not looking good. 6 weeks is not realistic to fix that kind of issues that were present. Tweaking things like, you know, spawns, tweaking map glitches, yeah, relatively easy. Fixing core graphical and stability issues, not so. Right, moving on. Settings. Vanguard has introduced a lot more settings in the game, and there were a lot of settings in the game that I had to change to make it better. And there was a couple of settings I turned off right at the end of the beta, which seemed to improve my experience, and I wish I had turned them off a lot sooner. Because I have to say that the noob user would be overwhelmed by all these options available, I have to say. Some of these options had nested options such as aim assist, so you go in there and I selected Cold War as the aim assist option because that's what I've been playing. I wanted to at least not have to relearn muscle memory to be able to play the game. When it came to graphics, all the blur options and the depth of field were all turned off. I wanted as much clarity as possible when I was gaming. I want to be able to see the enemies and stuff as clearly as possible, not have realistic world blurring all around me. Might be great for campaign, but not for multiplayer fast-paced action. Well, if you're lucky for fast-paced in this Modern Warfare 19 remake called Vanguard. During the beta, the depth of field option kept defaulting back to on. So every time you launch the game, you'd have to go back into those options and turn it off, turn it out. So keep an eye out when the game launches for options not being remembered. There was a new one, I think it's out there for Warzone, but I don't play Warzone. There's an on-demand streaming option, and it's a concern for me because it's chewing up extra bandwidth. So if you're with an ISP that has capped downloads, you'll have to go in there and turn it off because it's defaulted on by default. So during the beta, I tried it off and on, certainly within the first couple of days, or when I played it. I think I played it on the Saturday because the Friday evening, I think, because the Thursday it was released, and it was just nightmare of how unplayable it was. I went, nah, they can wait. I'm not even going to try and play that mess. So anyway, so I tried turning it on and off within the first day or so to see if it improved the graphical glitching, bug, stability issues, which it didn't. And there was no perceivable difference in quality of visuals at all for me. So I will probably end up turning it off, but I didn't turn it off. And I wonder if this contributed to the unreliable frame rates that I was experiencing. And I additionally wonder if it was impacting the hit registration. Yes, I have to mention that the hit registration was inconsistent. And when you're in a game with a very fast time to kill, that's a problem. Some players felt like they were invincible. Yes, they just sponged bullets, and that was bad. All the other players were dying appropriately, but some key players just seemed to, nope, we're invincible. And yes, I should mention that I played with crossplay off. I did not want lobbies with PC hackers that were present during the beta, yes. So the beta had the anti-hacking feature off because they wanted to show it at launch and wait a week or so before it gets all hacked and worked around again. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see, man. So I really do hope a console-only crossplay option comes available, because then that'd be cool. But I have a sneaky feeling that Activision will give that option a stiff ignoring. You know, because they listen to their gaming community, right? The two options I ended up turning off right at the end was bobbing, which seemed to mess up my aim, and this grounded auto mantle, because when I was strafing, my avatar would start climbing up furniture that's, you know, in various rooms and stuff, and that would just get me killed because you start climbing up, you know, armchairs and coffee tables and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, thanks, game. So that means I had to like press the jump key twice to be able to mantle through a window and all that stuff, but that was like the sacrifice I had to put on to stop being screwed when I'm trying to strafe and end up climbing up stuff that I don't want to whilst I'm strafing. I mean, what the heck? Maybe that's a bug that they will fix for ADS, and then I can put the grounded mantle back on when it launches. So finally, with all those video clips showing Vanguard on social media and how wonderful it was or wasn't, that I decided to put up a poll on Twitter. And there were certainly mixed opinions on buying and cancelling pre-orders and stuff. And I wonder if opinions have changed. Now I realise that my review and impression of this game so far is not of a glaring positivity. I can't go buzzy about it and stuff. And I know people are going to go, but it's a beta, it's only a beta. But there's some things that can be fixed, and there's other things that won't be fixed. And other things that they may decide or may not decide to fix. And I'm talking about the software side here. On that aspect, you know, they're you know, so, oh man, they're buff and nerf stuff, blah blah blah. But map design is map design, and you know, if it attracts camping, that's going to be the thing. But the big thing for me is this poor state of the software, and that may have influenced my review and impressions of this, because the poor state of the software that was released for the Xbox, I might have had different opinions if I was playing it on a different platform, but due to the fundamental mechanics and map design, it's still going to make or break this game, and we'll have to wait and see where it all lies out, when I can see why people would definitely not buy this game. And I was so close to cancelling my pre-order, because I only pre-ordered it last minute just to be able to play the beta, and I was hoping for more, but yeah. So after this, I'm going to term it the negative review for Vanguard then. Did you agree or disagree with stuff I said? Did you play it on PC or PlayStation? Did you have a much better experience? Was the stability better? Was the frame rate better? How did you find the players? Were they all camping? And perhaps I've missed something. But let me know in the comments below. Until next time, this has been Sim.